Pursuant to Section 84-1411 of the Nebraska Statutes, notice of this meeting was given on February 18, 2022. The meeting will convene at 6:30 p.m. and visitors may obtain a request to be heard form from staff for any presentation they may have for the meeting. In accordance with policy, the request to be heard forms must be submitted to the secretary within the first 5 minutes of the board meeting in order to be heard at this meeting. Agenda items are subject to reordering at the discretion of the board president. Please attend the entire meeting to ensure you're able to hear any discussion. Pursuant to Section 84-1411 of the Nebraska statutes, the next regular meeting of the Board of Education of Douglas County School District 0001 and the Board of Educational Service Unit Number 19 will be held on Monday, March 7th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. in the Board Meeting Room of the Teacher Administrative Center, 3215 Cummings Street. The agenda will be kept current and available for public inspection in the Office of the Secretary of the Board of Education at the Administrative Building during regular working hours. Pursuant to Section 84-1412 of the Nebraska statutes, the public is hereby informed that a current copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted in the Board Meeting Room on the north wall. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Cassidy will lead us in the OPS vision and mission statement.
Okay, first the vision. Every student, every day, prepared for success. And the mission, to prepare all students for success in college, career, and life.
One moment, please. Apologize for the delay. We just have to get something checked out really quickly, and then we'll move on to attendance. Roll call, Mr. Ray.
Cassidy,
Here.
Erdberger, Head, here, Holman,
Present.
Juarez,
Present.
Cracky,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Snow,
Here.
Thielen.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to excuse Ms. Erdenberger? She did notify us and let us know that she would not be in attendance at tonight's meeting.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Cracky. Roll call, Mr. Ray.
Smith,
Aye.
Snow,
No.
Thielen,
Aye.
Cassidy,
Aye.
Head, aye, Holman,
Aye.
Juarez,
Aye.
Cracky.
Aye.
7-0.
Motion carries. Moving on now to school spotlight. Mr. Maskell, good evening.
Good evening, President Holman, members of the board, and Superintendent Logan. Tonight's OPS Proud Spotlight features our Advanced Placement Scholars of Burke High, and in this video, we will hear from several of those scholars recognized.
AP Scholars are students that took several different AP exams last spring, and they scored a 3 or higher on those exams. So it's a pretty prestigious thing.
For AP testing, you start doing a lot more review questions and stuff like that, and it just starts get your mind ready to think about stuff that you did learn 6 or 5 months ago. which is probably like the biggest difference between AP testing and then just like regular testing.
There's a couple different levels. There's like an AP Scholar, an AP Scholar with honor, AP Scholar with distinction. So all of these students did really, really well on their spring exams, and we did a huge celebration this past fall and just really celebrated their achievements.
It's nice recognition for our school and for our students.
I knew that if I could earn college credit, you know, save some money in the future, that was a big benefit. And I knew that there was a great support system at Burke for taking those hard classes. Like, I would have resources to help me feel more comfortable, and they would help me succeed.
One of my favorite things was for the AP tests for computer science principles, we have to design a project that we're interested in, and it gives us a lot of range to choose. So I designed a computer program that helped train people learn sign language.
My favorite class was AP Bio, which I took freshman year, and I don't know, I've always been more geared towards science, but there was this one unit for genetics. We were actually talking about like the ethics and stuff, so we were reading the book of Henrietta Lacks, and it was just like, we don't really get into the history of science, and I don't know, that just kind of stuck out to me.
There's opportunities for AP all across our district. Students have opportunities to take the high-level courses. We had 62 AP Scholars this year, which is incredible, and we had 52 the previous. And to see these students excel at that level and to perform at that level is truly amazing.
And in addition to the Burke High AP Scholars, we want to mention that across our district, we have more than 140 Advanced Placement Scholars, all of whom will be listed and recognized on the homepage of ops.org. Congratulations to our AP Scholars.
Thank you, Mr. Maskell. Moving on now to Superintendent and Board comments. Dr. Logan.
Good evening, President Holman, members of the board, those here in attendance, and those watching the stream from home. We'll begin with a proposed update to our health and safety protocols on the agenda this evening. First, I want to highlight Omaha Public Schools leadership, both locally and nationally throughout this pandemic. Our layered approach to health and safety allowed us to responsibly offer in-person learning. We are among the first large urban school districts in the country to do so. Our district has hosted more than 175 vaccine clinics since last spring. If we can display our recent case numbers on the screen, everyone can see the steep decline since January. Earlier this week, we had 1 case identified in staff and 13 in students. 1 out of 9,000 staff and 13 out of 53,000 students. Please be advised that this is students self-report this to their schools. We are not dependent on getting cases from any sort of agency. We get them directly from parents. With our decreasing cases, the wide availability of vaccines, and the health department's decision to lift Omaha City's mask mandate, this is the time for our district to consider making face coverings optional inside our schools. Those who wish to continue wearing a face covering are very welcome to do so. We also know many people are growing more comfortable without a face covering as they attend concerts, dinners, out, youth sporting events, and other community activities. It is important to note that our other layered precautions will continue. We outlined those in an email to staff and families last week. They are also posted on our website. It is possible that future public health requirements or case clusters could require an individual classroom or school to temporarily wear face coverings again. We have met the challenges presented by this pandemic for the past 3 school years. It is not over yet. However, we can all be proud of our steadfastness for our children and for our staff. Pending our board's approval this evening, this update would take effect tomorrow morning. Looking ahead, there are many reasons to be excited about the 2022-2023 school year. A big part is our 4 new schools. Construction continues on time, and our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee toured Forest Station Elementary this week. We have an inside look at each of our new schools on our website, ops.org. Look for more updates throughout the month of March. There is water in the swimming pool at Westview, for those of you who are interested. A lot of water. Also looking to the new school year, enrollment for early childhood programs is open. We encourage families with eligible children to learn more. We have more information in the announcements section of our website. March is National Youth Art Month. Though we're still in February, the hallways of our Teacher Administrative Center are filled with the talents of young people from across Nebraska. The display is part of Scholastic's Art and Writing Awards, and 20 of our district students earned gold keys. Bravo to the many young people who have their work on display. Also in our audience this evening is the International Baccalaureate art teacher from Central High School. I was able to visit if she could stand, and we'll recognize her. And there she is. Was able to tour some of the amazing work by the IB artists at Coneco. And thank you for the invitation and the kind reception there. Really some extraordinary work. And some of it, I believe, is coming to the TAC building, so we're very excited about that. Moving into our celebrations, I want to recognize the winners of this year's African American History Competition. I enjoyed seeing part of the event myself. Congratulations to our middle school honorees. In first place, Mars Middle. In second place, Morton Middle. And in third place, Beveridge Middle. Let's give them a round of applause. At the high school level, top finishers are, again, Northwest High School. They are really good every year. In second place, Burke High, and in third place, Central High School. Thank you again to the 100 Black Men of Omaha for hosting the competition, and one more round of applause for our high school. An Omaha Public Schools teacher earned one of the highest honors available to math and science teachers nationwide, and we'll have her at a future meeting. Leah Litz of Bancroft Elementary received a presidential award for excellence in mathematics and science teaching. If I'm correct, she teaches also the zoo school, So she is amazing. According to the White House, this is the highest honor for K through 12 math and science teachers from the U.S. government. Again, another round of applause for Ms. Litz. Congratulations are also in order for Hamdu Erdemi of Buffett Middle, who earned first place at the district spelling bee and will move on to the REGIONAL regional competition. Sorry, I couldn't resist. We are OPS proud of our students out competing right now. Robotics, winter athletics, and the state wrestling tournament was this weekend. Congratulations to the boys and girls medalists from Omaha Public Schools, including champions. Will be at future board meeting spotlight. I know that swimming is going on right now, and we do have students participating in swimming and diving at the state competition. Lastly, one of the appointments on tonight's agenda is Mrs. Jennifer LeClaire. I don't know if Mrs. LeClaire, is she here today? She might not be able to make it because the weather is bad. As a new elementary principal supervisor for our district, Mrs. LeClaire has served the Wakanda Elementary community for 4 years and many others with our district in different roles. She's amazing, and we're tickled to have her homegrown join the team and leading principals. So we appreciate Ms. LeClaire's heartfelt commitment to our students, staff, and families. Pending board approval, we look forward to her new role in the next school year. So that concludes my remarks for this evening. Thank you, Dr. Holman.
Thank you, Dr. Logan. Colleagues? There is none. There is none. Ms. Cassidy? There is none.
Okay, thank you, President Holman. I just wanted to take a minute to just go over 2 events that I was able to go to this month of February as we wind down February. It was kind of a month for me where I got back in touch with realizing how important the arts and performing arts particularly are in our district. I was able to go to the All City Music Festival, which was Sunday the 6th. It was also Friday night as well, but I could only go to, or excuse me, Saturday night. I can only go to the Sunday event, which was the vocal music. It was fantastic. I know we did have a board meeting following that, but I was not at that board meeting. So I wanted to make sure to thank all of our teachers in the vocal music department and, of course, the instrumental and band as well. It was a fantastic show at the Holland Center. And secondly, last Saturday, I was a guest at the South Omaha Classic, which is a show choir invitational. And I'm not a, show choir is not my world, so I was a little bit like, it was very rowdy, and I was not expecting it. It was very delightful. I had a lot of parents next to me kind of telling me what certain things were. They would do this a lot, and I was like, what's going on? Why are people doing this? But it was fantastic. Omaha South did a really nice job. They hosted the event, and I will tell you, since they hosted, they did not compete, but their ambassadors, which is their show choir, they were able to do an exhibition number, and if you have a chance to see their performance, it was fantastic. It is mostly in Spanish. A little bit was in English, but pretty much the entire show, the entire performance was in Spanish. Their theme was Day of the Dead. And there were parents next to me. A lot of the audience was from other districts. We had West Side and Millard West. And people were just in awe. I have not heard, I heard so many parents just talking about how these kids could not only sing, but they could do it in another language, and they could dance at the same time. So just a shout out to Omaha South and Mr. Tyler Grudemeyer, that is the head of the show choir ambassadors. They did a fantastic job, and it just reminded me how important the vocal music and fine arts, performing arts are in our district. So thank you much.
Thank you, Mrs. Cassidy. Mr. Head.
Thank you, President Dr. Holman. I just wanted to say thank you to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. I had the opportunity to tour Forest Station yesterday at 11th and Childs, and that is an amazing school. I can't wait for the building to open. I know they've said they've had a number of students and families coming by and you know stopping up, coming up to the door, asking when the school is going to be open, when they can come by, and when they can come in. But that is just an amazing facility. I know the kids are going to be extremely blessed to be there next year.
With an amazing principal, too.
That it is.
Thank you, Mr. Head. Mr. Thielen?
Thank you, Dr. Holman. In the absence of Ms. Erdenberger, I'm going to highlight an item on the consent agenda. We're ordering 100,000 masks, which might seem strange tonight when we're considering ending our mask requirement. And so I asked about it, and the answer is that we've always had masks on hand for staff and students. Our supply is depleted, and we just want to be ready in case we need them again. So I thought I'd mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thielen. Ms. Crackey.
I wanted to talk about two different things. I was able to go to Laura Dodge in their pre-K classroom to read to all these adorable little people. You know, we have the pre-K Head Start programs, and they were just absolutely so well behaved and attentive. And when I was finished reading, they immediately went to all their work centers. They know where to go and what to do, and they were very, very involved in everything they were doing. And the principal there is also very involved. He is short a lot of the kind of para staff and all, and he is the para staff. He said he was all those other 5 jobs, but he has it all under control. It was a beautiful building and nice to go through and visit there again. It's always a very welcoming place to go. And I think so many times the principal sets the tone in how welcoming a building can be when we visit. The other thing I wanted to say is I too attended the South High show choir, and South High was the host. So when you are host, you do perform, but you are not rated at that time. I have been at other show choir events where they have been rated, and they've come in second or third, but as I called the principal today, and I wanted to share with everybody that not only was that a very welcoming place, but the show choir director came over and thanked me for attending the show choir. How he spotted me out there, I do not know. I wasn't trying to be a fuss budget or anything, but it was, as Tracy noted, everyone around me was just shocked and startled and pleased with their performance. They couldn't get over it. I mean, they really couldn't, everybody. And they came from all districts. They were Elkhorn and Millard, and all of them out there were coming. But it was a great time to be there, and I really enjoyed it. And the reason they do the hands up like this is because they are not supposed to clap during a performance of a special singer. So that's why they do this, so they don't make noise and interfere with the program. But otherwise, you do want to clap, and so you just have to forget about it until the end. But if you have never attended show choir, and I've said this to all of you before, try to go to one of them. You won't believe what you're seeing there. You know, you go to football games, you go to other events, But if you've missed going into a school and seeing the show choir in the audience, you've really missed a lot. So they do a great job, and that's throughout the metro area. So I just wanted to really do a shout out for that because I love going to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Crackey. And then I'd just like to quickly recognize and thank all of our teachers. Last week we had high school parent-teacher conferences, and these are really long nights for our teachers. And we thank you all for your dedication and also for all of our parents that attend parent-teacher conferences. This week we have middle school. And then next week we will have elementary. So thank you all for all of your hard work and the very, very long nights. And we know that it's not easy, especially when it's cold outside and the weather is not the greatest. And so just know that we really do appreciate everything that you do for our students and for our families. And then also I wanted to give a shout out to Northwest High School. They almost said we, but they have been celebrating their 50th anniversary. And last Saturday, students and alumni, some alumni, joined in on a decades fashion show. So it was really interesting to see band uniforms from the 1970s. Our own Ayanna Boykin, she participated and wore a very, very classy, pleather-ish band uniform with a huge fuzzy hat. Looked fantastic in it. It was really interesting to see some very old cheerleading uniforms. Someone brought their grandmother's letter sweater from 1981, I believe it was, and it was like the true old gold that isn't as common right now for Northwest, but it was just really fantastic to see all the wonderful regalia that the school still has and that the students and alumni were able to showcase during the basketball game last Saturday. So congratulations to Omaha Northwest, which I am an alumni. I will go ahead and say again.
Dr. Holman, you better tell them what you wore. No, I was impressed.
I wore my cheerleading uniform from 1994.
And she fit in it, people. She fit in it. I saw the picture, and I was like, what is happening?
It was a really good time, though, and just really happy for our high school and everybody that was able to attend. So that concludes board comment. Okay, Ms. Juarez.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the schools that I went and visited, and I'm tardy on one of my thank yous also. I went to Bryan Middle School and met Mr. Carmazine, and 3 students took me on a tour of the school, and it was just an open house event, and all the faculty were very welcoming. I also went to Mars and met Miss Barone, and they had a science activity night that the families went to with their students. And it was very enjoyable when I went to the library that I actually found out information about a pamphlet that was available from when I went to kindergarten at Mars. And they have a mural on the wall. I think it was 25 years of celebration. And theirs was like a STEAM night because they put a frame around me so I could take a picture, but they also recognize art there. That's why they don't call it STEM. Then I went on to Ashland Park Robbins and met Miss Martin and met some of the faculty there, where I attended a musical event at that school also. And it's really amazing to see how enthusiastic that the students are in their activities, and the enthusiasm of the teachers, and definitely everyone is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Juarez. No more board comments? We'll be moving on to public comment. Masks are required to be worn in order to speak during public comment. If you are not wearing a mask will be provided to you at the podium to wear while speaking. Tonight we have 7 speakers who have submitted request to speak forms. The board has adopted policy 8346, which provides public comment for a period of 1 hour. That same policy limits individual speakers to a maximum of 5 minutes. We ask that you respect that time limit. Mr. Ray will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining and when you have 30 seconds remaining. If you are in need of an interpreter, please let Mr. Ray know, and one will be provided for you. We understand that people have strong feelings about the issues they come to speak about, so we ask that you please respect the opinions of all who speak and refrain from any applause or other outbursts during the presentations. If the subject of your public comment is related to a particular student or staff member, we ask that you do not identify the student or staff member and instead provide that information to Mr. Ray. He will assist us into looking into those types of specifics for you. If you do not get an opportunity to speak and would like to submit any written commentary, please provide that to Mr. Ray. He will make sure that each member of the board gets a copy. As a reminder, with last year's passage of LB 83 by the Nebraska legislature, the Board of Education is legally obligated to require any member of the public desiring to address the board to identify him or herself, including an address and the name of any organization you may represent, unless the requirement is waived for security reasons. The following individuals have requested that the board waive the requirement and that they state their address at the podium for security reasons. We do have one person who has requested this waiver, and the name is Jody Snodgrass. With that, I will entertain a motion to waive the requirement that that named individual state their address at the podium. Is there a motion?
Oh, go ahead.
Did she state why she wanted to waive the requirement? Sorry.
She did not. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion? Okay. Since there is no motion, Ms. Snodgrass, you will have to state your address at the podium during public comment. We ask that all other individuals please state and spell your first and last name, state your current address, and let us know if you are here representing any particular organizations before you begin your public comment. In addition, we ask that you remain seated until called to the podium. Please remain at the podium and do not approach the board table. If you have materials to distribute, please let me know, and Mr. Way will come and get them from you. It is now 6:58 p.m., and our first speaker is Robert Miller. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Robert Miller. That's ROBERTMILLER. And I reside at 7301 North 107th Avenue in Omaha, Nebraska, 68122. Good evening, President Dr. Holman, Superintendent Dr. Logan, and members of the board. My name is Robert Miller, and I am the president of the Omaha Education Association. I appreciate the time given to the public to celebrate, to voice concerns, and offer solutions to problems that are being faced. I would like to give a shout out to the JROTC cadets, staff, and sergeants. Many skills are being developed around leadership, character, and community. I'm a little biased here, but I have had the pleasure of seeing firsthand through my son's experience through the JROTC program. What started out as a credit to get out of PE ended up into molding him into a fine young man thus far. And I appreciate our district giving that opportunity to kids academically and building character. So thank you. Another shout out goes out to the school board members who have met with our school board contact teams to talk about specific issues facing educators and their classrooms. Thank you for taking the time to listen, to clarify, to ask questions, and to identify ways to address the concerns we have. A few concerns. The first is the staffing shortages. This is not new. Staff are doing what they can to continue with instruction, daily routines, meeting the needs of our students. During the pandemic, additional needs were and still are being revealed, but are often not handled in a manner to address them in a proper way. Teachers are not able to plan, create, implement lessons when they are asked to cover. Counselors are not able to meet with the students who had been referred to them by classroom teachers. This leads staff being forced to work during non-duty hours. A recent collection of data that OEA gathered is an example of a middle school revealed that on two specific days, to make sure all classes were covered, 18 staff members lost plan time that day because there wasn't enough to cover. Even the administrators had to help cover because there wasn't existing staff to cover the vacancies. At high schools, it's not much better. Many coverages were assigned, resulting in loss of plan time. In the elementary level, the lack of substitutes for one day resulted in 12 classrooms to take on additional students. Imagine a kindergartner spending the day learning in 5th grade, or a 5th grader spending the day in 1st grade. While they do have their assignments completed, the quality of work may not be up to standard. The second concern is the resolution that will be looked at this evening by you. The membership has voiced their support and their opposition for this resolution. It comes with a mixed bag of resolutions. A few comments that I'd like to share with you from our members. We need masks to continue in-person learning, at least for the rest of the year. If we are going to change the OPS mask mandate, I would want it to happen after spring break. Another one, if a mask mandate is changing, please consider requiring parents and families to wear masks when coming into the classroom. For parent-teacher conferences next week for elementary, I have a large elementary class and I will be meeting with many families. And for those who are in support, it is time to move forward. The data supports this as well. It is time to end the mask mandates. I would appreciate having the choice to wear a mask or not at my own discretion. I support the end of the mask mandate if health officials agree and that we have set a clear idea of when it should be reinstated.
1 minute.
In closing, we've offered solutions for staffing, shortage and coverages, fair compensation, extra duty pay to $50, but the immediate relief in the form of time and compensation is needed. A moratorium on PLCs, grade level meetings, and limiting staff meetings to 1 per month. This is always giving back to teachers and administrators. And finally, a new one that we're bringing forward is the adjustment on April 1st, Professional Development Day, to be an all work and plan day for teachers. Staff need time to implement what had been learned on the February 4th PD. If it was a solid PD, there must be time given to the teacher to create and implement into their instruction. There is a zero cost for this option. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Nicole Thompson. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm Nicole Croson. Sorry, it's Nicolecroson.
My apologies. It's in your last name.
That's okay. It's fine. Everybody does. I reside at 4914 Maple Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68104. I'm not associated with any organization. So good evening, board members and Dr. Logan. So I'm coming before you tonight as someone who absolutely hates public speaking. It is a great fear of mine, but I'm going to put that fear aside for my children and for OPS children overall. Right to the point, I do think that the mask mandate for OPS does need to end. Our children have been in masks for about 2 years, and I think that is well more than enough. There have been numerous back and forth reports and studies on the efficacy of masks, with one of the most recent reporting that masks, especially the cloth type that most people wear, they do not provide protection against coronaviruses. Even though there's like the N95s out there, they don't fit children properly, and so they're not going to provide protection. For 2 years, children with IEPs have suffered the consequences of not being able to read facial cues, read lips when they're in their speech classes, etc., and parents are seeing the ill effects of this, falling behind, not advancing as they should. For 2 years, children have reused masks that they've sneezed in, coughed in. My children have seen it firsthand in classrooms from classmates. So-and-so sneezed in their mask today and wiped their nose with it and kept it on. I mean, it's gross. You know, just keeping those germs, breeding those germs, keeping them on the face, just creating more illnesses. For 2 years, children have been told to pull up your mask, do your part, keep your friends safe, we're placing that burden on children. My child has been told by other classmates in her classroom that she's going to die when she takes her doctor-approved couple-minute mask break 6 feet away from everybody else in the corner of whatever room she happens to be in. You're gonna die. Put your mask back up, you're gonna die. Which I think is horrible. I mean, this is the kind of world that we've created. We've created skin issues. We've created chronic headache issues, breathing issues. For what? We've created anxiety issues, fear, depression. My other child has told me about multiple stories of friends who have confided in her that have experienced these kind of issues, feeling isolated or depressed, anxiety over wearing the masks. And it breaks her heart. And I think it should break everybody's heart. For what? For a virus. Like any other illness, it has the potential to be really bad for some people, and it really does. And it's horrible, and I understand that. But I know that those individuals need to, and I'm sure they do, take whatever precautions are necessary for their daily lives. And I think that that's something they should do. What we should encourage is mask if you want or need to. Get plenty of water, flush out those toxins from your body. Get your family on vitamin D. A recent report from just this month now cites that those deficient in vitamin D are more likely to experience worse COVID symptoms that can end up being severe. Things like taking zinc and other supplements, a daily multivitamin for children, cut out as much sugar as you can, the kind of things that we need to encourage people to keep themselves healthy, to when they do get sick, hopefully it's not as severe, it doesn't last as long, they can bounce back quicker. Those are the things that we need to encourage. And of course, stay home if you're sick. Wash your hands. Those are the basic things that we definitely need to continue to ask everybody to do. Masks are not the end-all be-all for everyone, and it is well past time for an end and a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Peggy Truths. Good
There's
evening.
3 sets.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Peggy Truths, and it's spelled Peggy Trost. I live at 601 4th Street in Utah, Nebraska. I'm here for my granddaughter who goes to Sunny Slope. I'm here because I'm disillusioned with the OPS having the mask mandate from day one up until now. And I'm the grandmother, and my daughter is in the system. My granddaughter is 6 years old and is in kindergarten. She has anxiety and cannot breathe when she's in the mask. She hyperventilates, and it's just not good for her. Basically, anxiety is the biggest thing. Let's see. I also have issues breathing in the mask, so I get it, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. And I'm also very sad that this is her first year of school for an experience, and it's been really hard for her the whole year so far. I printed off a bunch of paperwork that I hope and pray you read through, which is other opinions on masks. My daughter now has to fight her daughter every day to go to school as this has progressed on and on and on. And basically because she can't breathe. That's what she says. And there's been numerous studies on masks, and in my opinion and many others' opinions, they just don't work and are bad, especially for children, because they're touching their face all day long. And I'm guilty of that myself. And it doesn't do any good if you're touching your face. Not to mention, they can't see the teachers' faces, and that doesn't help them in any way, especially when it's kindergarten, when they're learning how to speak and spell and so on and so forth. Anyway, please read the material I brought before making your decisions on the mask mandate. Thank you. And also, she probably more than likely won't be returning to OPS because of how long this has went on. I mean, in the beginning, I get it, but this has just went on and on and on. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Next, we have Charlie YALE.
Hello, my name is Charlie Yale, spelled
Good evening.
Charlieyale, and I just have a point of inquiry. I believe on my form I marked the option to not read my address.
Yeah,
I'm a
you did
student
put
in
no,
Randall.
sorry, so I missed it.
Wonderful.
But yes, I see that you are a student, so
Yep.
you do not need to put your address.
Lovely. Alrighty. So first of all, I want to say hello and thank you to Dr. Logan and the board. Hello, my name is Charlie Yale, and I'm a sophomore at Central High School, and I'm here to speak about Resolution 22-001, rescinding the required use of face coverings. I want to start this off by saying, do not throw away your umbrellas during a rainstorm just because you are not getting wet. Masks are vital in schools to protect against COVID-19. COVID is not yet gone, and if we don't play our cards correctly, it will be here to stay indefinitely. Firstly, I'm going to talk about how COVID numbers here, I'm going to talk about COVID numbers here in Nebraska. It is true that case numbers are falling, but nothing says that they will stay this way. Look at how quickly the Omicron variant overran schools across the country. Luckily, Nebraska was able to miss the brunt of it, but if another variant were to emerge and cause as many infections as Omicron did in such a short amount of time, it is possible that we would go back to online school, which would benefit nobody. Just yesterday, CNN reported that the new emerging BA2 variant is about 30% more transmissible than the BA1 Omicron variant. This BA2 variant is causing about 1 in 5 COVID cases across the world and is just starting to spread in the US. As Omicron numbers continue to fall, BA2 numbers continue to rise, creating a once more concerning trend of infections across the United States. This should especially concern the school district that houses the 2 largest schools in the state, South and Central, respectively. There are over 2,600 students who attend my school of Central High School. The simple reality of being at Central is that you will be packed tightly with other students and you will not be able to maintain a safe distance of 6 feet as recommended by the Nebraska Department of Health. This becomes especially evident during passing periods, which makes it hard for students to maintain any distance between each other whatsoever. Although these passing periods are only 5 minutes long, it is not limited to just that. In almost every classroom at Central, it is impossible to keep a 6-foot distance from anybody during the 45-minute periods. If an unmasked student were to contract COVID unknowingly and attend 9 classes in just one day, including a lunch hour where they would be sitting near even more people, this would possibly wreak COVID havoc across the school. Finally, I just want to touch on the youth vaccination rates in Nebraska. The Mayo Clinic reports that 23.8% of children aged 5 to 11 and 53.9% of children aged 12 to 17 are fully vaccinated here in Nebraska. It is proven that vaccination is the highest grade of protection against COVID-19. It is frankly irresponsible to repeal a mask mandate when over half of our student district population does not yet have the highest form of protection against this virus. The State Department of Health recommends people wear face coverings in public when unable to maintain social distancing. This is still the case in many, if not all, OPS schools. It is clear why we must keep this mandate in place for the safety of our students. And finally, I just want to touch on some personal experiences I've had over the past couple years. I just want to say online school is one of the most sort of detrimental occurrences I think that's happened to our learning. It's definitely set us back a while. And I would hate to see us have to go back to that because of a rescinding of a mask requirement when they truly do cause no harm, especially for students, high school or above where it's really needed. And to summarize, it's crucial that OPS keeps its mask mandate in place. There's already another variant spreading across our country very quickly. Our schools are very dense, which does not allow for proper distancing. Youth vaccination rates are low in Nebraska, not even scraping the surface of herd immunity. There is no harm to keeping this mask mandate in place.
1 minute.
It is critical you vote to keep this mask mandate in place for the safety of students and adults across the district. There is no need to throw away our umbrella in the middle of this storm. I thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Libby Cruz. Good evening.
Evening. Thank you so much for your time. Libby Cruz, Libbycruz. Good evening, Dr. Logan and the board. And Dr. Logan, I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for your kind comments. My IB art students are extraordinary. I'm extraordinarily proud of them, and I really appreciate you attending their art show.
And Ms. Cruz, before you begin, could you state your address, please?
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
12450 Castelar Street. Omaha 68144. I want to start by saying we know this hasn't been an easy year for any of us. You have heard from teachers all year about our experiences, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to share mine with you. This year, I have been verbally abused on a daily basis, called every offensive name in the book, and threatened with physical violence by students. In my place of work, I have been made to feel powerless, small, and unsafe. Lifting our mask mandate is another way that we will be made to feel unsafe and powerless. You've heard from teachers all year, but it seems like you don't really care what we have to say. Will you care next year when our teacher shortage becomes even more dire because the teachers you have now feel so hopeless? To those arguing that our children need to be unmasked because they can't breathe or they are tired and can't wear the masks anymore, you sincerely underestimate their resilience. I spend every day with students. I know that these students are strong enough to continue wearing a mask for the good of others. Wearing a mask might be annoying, can be frustrating at times even, but it's not outside of their capabilities by any means. Please do not underestimate their resilience. Though official COVID numbers are lowering, doctors and scientists, they're still recommending that everyone wear masks indoors. School is an indoor setting, which is close quarters. In the case of some of our older buildings, close quarters with not the best ventilation. Masks is not an issue of politics. It's not an issue of preferences. It's not an issue of being just tired of masks. It's an issue of protecting our most vulnerable. It's been said that our district, the largest in the city by far, is made stronger by our diversity. It's true, we serve the most diverse population. Some of these groups include Omaha's large refugee community, unhoused students and their families, and students and families living in extreme poverty without access to affordable health care or even health care at all. Though the vaccine is free, the health care that you need if you get severely ill is not, and is out of reach for many more people than most of us realize. Imagine for a moment having to make the decision between health care and crushing medical debt. This virus does not discriminate by socioeconomic status. Looking at me right now, you might not think that I'm someone more at risk for COVID and severe effects, and I'm fortunate that today is not a day I have to speak to you from my wheelchair. The people I see every day and who have seen me weak enough to need my wheelchair as an assistive device know that I need it. But in this moment, to everyone in this room, it's an invisible illness. Many of our students and our staff deal with invisible medical conditions that put them at risk. Many of our students have asthma, which is a condition affecting the lungs, a body part that can be most damaged by COVID. If we could all see how many people around us actually have invisible medical conditions, making them more vulnerable, those of us who want to unmask, would we reconsider if you could see how many people have vulnerabilities? I want my students back in the classroom. I don't want to go back to online school. I want my colleagues back in the classroom. But lifting our mask mandate will inevitably set us back. Our cases will go back up.
1 minute.
That's a fact. To those who feel like that we should all just get it over with, I want to point you back to my statement about people with vulnerabilities. I feel like this decision has probably already been made, but I urge you to consider those of us who are vulnerable, the students who are too young, under 5, those who are the future of OPS, parents, families, those without the financial means to seek health care. These are the people for whom we mask. And all of us masking to protect one another is a small price to pay to save one life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Nicole Vogel. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Vogel, Nicolevogel, address 13457 Larimore Avenue, Omaha, Nebraska 68164. Okay. Good evening. Over the last several months, the primary reasons I've heard from the board in defense of the mask requirement have had to do with keeping the kids healthy and following CDC requirements. If the board is genuinely interested in following CDC guidance, why don't all students have daily recess or PE required? Given how closely you follow the CDC, you must know that their requirement for physical activity for kids 5 to 17 is at least 60 minutes per day. It's a well-known fact that regular physical activity supports a healthy immune system. Why hasn't the board mandated an increase in physical activity to meet recommendations, especially during a pandemic? Furthermore, the CDC recommends that kids' screen time is limited to 1 to 2 hours per day. The One-to-One iPad initiative has done the opposite of this, giving our kids unlimited access at school and at home. Current evidence suggests that excessive screen time leads to childhood obesity. According to the CDC, 1 in 5 children and adolescents is obese. With about 52,000 in the district, simple math reveals that obesity impacts over 10,000 OPS students. Top tips from the CDC to address childhood obesity are meeting the physical activity and screen time recommendations they set forth. Yet the board ignores this epidemic plaguing the district. According to CDC data, our kids are more likely to die of unintentional injuries or suicide than they are of COVID-19. 748 0 to 17-year-olds have died with COVID since January of 2020. In 2019 alone, more than 6,000 died of suicide, and this has only increased during the pandemic. In the same year, unintentional injuries, including car accidents, drownings, and poisonings, claimed over 13,000 lives of our kids. What is the board implementing to address these public health issues? Why hasn't your fervor for addressing public health issues in schools translated to childhood obesity, physical activity, screen time, and deaths by suicide, drowning, and car accidents? It's because your mandate is not about our kids' health. If it was, you would have addressed these other issues long before the pandemic even started. If you want to promote health and prevent disease among our kids, give them more PE and recess and less screen time, not mandatory face coverings. In closing, if a board member just days after motioning to approve the OPS mask mandate can travel to Las Vegas, party in clubs, and attend concerts without a mask, our kids can too. Can go to school without masks too. In August, when I emailed the board regarding the blatant double standard this board member's activities presented, none of you responded. I sent another email last week concerning this board member's activities in Las Vegas and his recent attendance to a concert at Baxter Arena. I included a screenshot of his public Facebook post dated February 13th of 2022, showing him in a packed arena without a mask. This time, the board member himself responded, and I quote, "I'll continue making motions to protect our children and educators. Take a second and Google the COVID mask rules for Baxter Arena and all casinos while I was in Las Vegas, and mask up until we tell you otherwise." I didn't Google anything because it doesn't matter. If masks are only required for certain people in certain places, this further exemplifies the fact that this is not about health or protecting anyone. If there was genuine concern about this virus, he would be masking up in crowded places around thousands of people. OPS students are entitled to the same rights you all have exercised these last 6 months, the freedom to choose whether or not to wear a mask. It's time to rescind the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jody Snodgrass.
Hi.
Good evening.
My name is Jody Snodgrass, JODY-SNODGRASS. And the only reason I resist giving my address is because I just don't understand why I need to give my address, but I'll give it. 5216 North 15th Street in Omaha. I would just like very much to thank the 3 ladies who are against keeping the mask mandate. I've got the same information. I love it, so I'm not going to repeat any of that information. What I do want to say is go out about, like you do, you live. I mean, you go out to dinner, you go out to wherever. I don't know, maybe the bar, I don't know where you go. I don't do those kinds of things. But I can tell you this, I know that if you go over to a restaurant, people are not wearing their mask. If you go into the casino, there's no mask mandate over there. I would just about venture to say that the people at the casino have kids at home. I'm pretty sure that's probably true. But they're over there unmasked. Not all of them, of course. If you want to wear a mask, that's totally fine. I don't have one problem with people wanting to wear a mask. I don't understand why somebody who is afraid they might get ill thinks that I have to wear a mask to protect them. I don't understand that thinking. If you're afraid I'm going to run over you in my car, should I stay home because you're afraid I'm going to hit you in my car? None of us go out to intentionally hurt people. But this mask thing is hurting our children. It is hurting my grandson. I don't want to get emotional. My grandson is 13 years old. He's autistic. From the time my grandson was 3, I'm sorry, I have had to tell him, look me in the eyes. Please look me, because you all know, you've been around autistic children. They're not the most sociable people in the world, and it's hard to get them to look in your eye, but that's how they learn. They have to see your face. They have to see your expression. And my grandson is now sitting in school 8 hours a day with already special needs. And he can't see the looks on the children's faces. He can't see his teacher's face. I think that is so wrong. And it hurts me every day. I think about taking him out of school and keeping him at home. But I am not equipped to take care of a special needs child every day. I don't know how to do it. He's got 3 years left of school, and we need to know how to handle those concerns after that. I don't know what to say about this. It's just wrong to make other people pay because you're afraid you're going to get the flu. It's the flu. Anybody in here can get on the internet and find out what exactly is going on. And you know who's at risk for this? Me. Not my grandson, not the 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds. Older people, and especially older people with other health concerns. That's who's at risk. Most of you are not even at risk. That's not to say you won't get it. Yes, of course. You know, the flu's been around forever. They have not even identified what this is. We just all happily go along with our little mask on our face and call it COVID-19 because they have not yet identified what it even is. And the Omicron, when it came through, all my information said Omicron, 90% of us would get it, and it would help us to have natural immunity. Well, out of 8 people in my family, 7 of them got what I assumed to be Omicron. And they went through it. Yes, they were sick, but they got through it, and they all survived. Even one that was over 67 years old. Look, I'm just asking you, please stop this. It's not humane for our kids. It's just not. It needs to stop. And I have one last thing to say. If this is so dangerous, why do I see them laying all over the street? Why don't we have biohazard containers for these things? If what is coming out of my mouth is so dangerous for everybody, why am I not taking this off and burning it the minute I walk out of here or get somewhere? No, we're wearing these for 8 hours a day. We're spitting into them. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you've listened to me, and I want to commend you women out here that have done
30
the job.
seconds.
I want to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes tonight's public comment. Moving on to consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda that is before us.
So moved.
Approval.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Thielen,
Second.
second by Ms. Cracky. Any abstentions?
I have one, Dr. Holman. I will be abstaining from item I-11, Claim C, and I believe you will as well. Yes, we both will.
Thank you. As Ms.
Thank you.
Cassidy has reported, I also will be abstaining from item I-11. Roll call, Mr. Ray.
Snow.
Aye.
Thielen.
Aye.
Cassidy.
Aye.
Head.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
Cracky.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is item J1A, approval of resolution 22-001, rescinding resolution 21-015, requiring face coverings for the district students, employees, families, and visitors. Do I have a motion to approve item J1A?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Head,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Snow. At this time, I will offer the opportunity for any of my colleagues to discuss or share anything that you might want to share at this point in time. Okay. Since there is no discussion, no amendments, Mr. Ray, roll call, please.
Thielen.
Aye.
Cassidy.
Aye.
Head.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
Cracky.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries. Okay, with that, we have receipt of reports, item K1, the 2021-2022 class size and pupil to teacher ratio report, as well as item K2, CBOC update for the Phase 2 bond programs for January 2022. We do not have closed session for tonight, so let the record reflect that the board meeting is completed and adjourned tonight at 7:32 p.m. Thank you so much for coming.